So we return to our problem. You get long-term stability. You get 5 to 10% of your annual budget, depending on your budget size that year. And you are a community dialogue theater. That is the average theater company. So you're going to create dialogue in the community, certainly, if you bring Glenn back to your stage. And even if you don't, I mean, it's just like a rental, right? It's not really part of your programming. But what about that community perception? And when you start to think about that, well, you think, how flexible is our mission? And this is going down the path of unethical behavior, perhaps. If you follow the mission only some of the time, or circumstantially following the mission, you're going down that path of away from public good and to unethical action. Only 20% of the community dialogue theaters have ethics documents, but 80% talk about ethics as needed. What we don't know, and an unanswered question, is how frequently is that? What does that discussion look like? You might create dialogue, but would it enrich the community? So you look at your values. Well, does he have artistic merit? Is he the best artist? He's certainly been celebrated in many circles. He is kind of local. He's from Mount Vernon. Is he sustaining the art form? He's sustaining a art form. So is there a problem? Remember, we want to maximize public benefit without compromising the organization. And this is hard to do. So here's one solution. There's the middle path, Kant. He says you follow the law, you have your regulations, you don't deviate. So you refuse. You say there's no shared values, we can't put up Glenn Beck. And you can use this as an incentive to build public support, perhaps. You know, we're standing for what we really want. And if you need to, you cut back in the budget, you sacrifice short-term goals for long-term stability and ensuring the mission in the long term. But is that really maximizing public benefit? Are you compromising an organization? There's another solution. You can look at the utilitarian solution, which says, put on Glenn Beck and put on many other political entertainers. You're not endorsing one over the other. You're still honoring the donor's wishes, and you're following the spirit of the mission, creating dialogue in the community, perhaps enriching them. One solution is not necessarily better than the other. Ethics are often very gray. So from the survey, I've come up with 5 recommendations for the theater sector. One is to balance art and administration. There's a trend to outsource your administration. And I think that in short term, you might have some increased financial stability because you're outsourcing that work. But you're not supporting the organization to the most. There's going to be a disconnect between the marketing, the financial budgeting, the communications. It's not going to support the art. Investing in audience education. If we want younger audiences as a sector, if we want to have new audiences, we've got to bring them to the theater. And this means educating them and providing the programming that they want to see. Balancing quality with elitism. If we're employing just the best artists, are we then creating an elite category that only a portion of the public is willing to see, willing to pay to see? Is that really providing the most public good? Being financially responsible, you've got to be so that you ensure the public good. So you ensure the ethical action of the theater. And you need to understand the ethical implications of theater. Theater offers a unique experience that is direct and intimate with very few filters. The audience understands, because it is a community event, that they are a small part of a greater whole. The communal experience can be very powerful. Peter Brook, in his book The Empty Space, describes this. The word representation no longer separates actor and audience, show and public. It envelops them. What is present for one is present for the other. The audience, too, has undergone a change. It has come from a life outside the theater that is essentially repetitive to a special arena in which each moment is lived more clearly and more tensely. He describes the audience as part of the performance. Theater is most effective when everyone is on board with the event and there's a powerful community understanding of the values in the community. The reaction of an audience member to one moment on the stage can change the mind of everyone watching them through the experience of watching the performance. At a single performance, a member of the audience is actively watching the show and watching the audience. Simon Blackburn, who's an ethical theorist and philosopher, describes this as the springs of motivation, reason, and feeling that move us. He concludes that we are forced simply with the rules of our own making. These rules are made through the community experience, and theater is one of the major sources for that community experience.